A while back I met a very classy, sexy, beautiful older woman, let's call her Jane. We had several dates that I thought went very well, but every time I dropped her off and tried to come for a nightcap she refused. She said she was not ready to take our relationship to the next level. Something about her just made me want her more and more. After one of our dates she told me she wanted to put things on hold. That it wasn't me, it was her. That made me furious, so I decided to do something that I now realize I shouldn't have done. Dabbled in black magic, I had obtained books, different items, etc. I had been doing some rituals for some period of time. On one of our dates, I had managed to get a strand of her hair. She had excused herself to go to the ladies' room after we had eaten dinner. And there it was, a strand of her hair just laying there on the back of her chair, so I picked it up and folded it up in one of the table napkins. I'm not sure what I was thinking when I did that. It had been a week or so since we had last spoke. So I decided to do a ritual to bind her to me. I took a glass jar, tied our two pieces of hair together, I did a binding ritual, put the two pieces of hair in the jar and sealed the jar closed with candle wax, and waited. The next day I had to go out of town on personal business. But I didn't have to wait long for the results of the ritual. The next day she called and said she found herself missing talking to me and wanted to get together for another date. 2 days later I returned to town and called her. We arranged to meet for dinner and drinks at 8 p.m. at a restaurant near my loft, which was different from our usual dates where I would go and pick her up. That night was great. After dinner, as I was getting the check, she said, "How about we go to your place for a nightcap?" I was elated. From this point I could tell my ritual was working. That night we talked, had more drinks and made love. It was everything I thought it would be. After several months my dream relationship with Jane developed into a nightmare. Jane had started to get very jealous over little things. If we were out in public and I looked around, Jane would accuse me of looking at another woman. She had said that I wanted someone younger now that we were sleeping together. I tried to convince her that that wasn't the case. Jane began following me. When I had meetings outside the office I would catch a glimpse of what I thought was her car following me. I would call her cell and ask, "Did I just see your car at such and such a place?" And she would say, "Nope, that must be your other woman." As time went on, our relationship just got worse and worse, so I decided to break the ritual jar and hopefully break the binding spell. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to continue with the relationship, just not like this. We had been together now for some time, so I thought that by ending the spell we would just continue to see each other just without the jealousy. Boy, was I wrong. About 2 days after breaking the jar, I had not heard from Jane, so I decided to give her a call. She seemed upset, so I asked, "What's wrong?" She answered, "You know what you did." Okay, now at this point I was thinking there's no way she knew what I had done, so I asked, "What did I do?" and she just hung up on me. 2 days later Jane called me sounding very happy, asked me how was I and if I would like to get together on the next day for dinner. Now by this time I thought the storm had passed, so I said yes, that sounds great. So again we agreed to meet at the restaurant near my loft for dinner and drinks. The next day came and I was excited about having dinner with Jane. We had agreed to meet at the restaurant about 8 p.m. She called me that afternoon to tell me she would be running a little late, about 15 minutes because of work. I said fine, see you there. I was leaving work at around 5:30 and I saw what looked like Jane's car again, but I thought that couldn't be her car, so I blew it off. I did the 3 S's when I got home. Shower, shit and shaved. So I was good to go. It was about 8 p.m. when I left my loft on the way to the restaurant. It was only about 5 minutes away. I parked and went inside the restaurant asking for a table for 2 and let the maitre d' know I was expecting a date. As I sat down I saw Jane coming through the door. She spotted me and told the maitre d' that she was with me. She had a big smile on her face as she got to the table. I got up to pull her chair out, and asking her how are you, she responded I'm great, and you, I responded I'm good. We had a great meal and great conversation. It was as if no argument or anything had happened. We finished up and I asked for the check. We were on our way out of the door and again she said how about we go to your place for a nightcap. I said meet you there. That night Jane and I made love like it was the first time. Later as we lay there she said in a sweet low voice I love you, I can't see myself longing for anyone but you. I was surprised by the statement and speechless. There was a long moment of awkward silence. You see, as much as I wanted Jane in the beginning, I mean doing a ritual and all of that, but the truth was I wasn't in love with her, we were just dating. I sat up on the side of the bed looking out of the window next to the bed. She asked me did you hear what I said? I responded yes of course I did, and again there was that awkward silence. Well, she said aren't you going to say something, don't you love me? I didn't know what to say or do at that point. Without turning around to face her I said slowly Jane, I'm very fond of you but... She cut me off at that point, but you don't love me. Sitting in silence, Jane rose up and started to gather her things. I said Jane you don't have to leave. She didn't respond. She stepped into the bathroom and closed the door, and I heard the shower start. She came out and got dressed without saying a word. Once she was done she went downstairs into the main part of the loft where she was gathering the rest of her things. I put on my clothes and went downstairs behind her again. I said Jane you don't have to leave. I didn't know what to say or do at this point. I was just standing there waiting for her to maybe say something. She laid her coat down and started looking for something in her purse. I thought she was looking for her car keys. I turned to reach for my keys as I said give me a minute, I will walk you out. As I was unlocking the door I heard a click. Now anyone that has been around guns, which I have, knows the sound of a revolver when you pull back the hammer. I swung around to see myself facing down a chrome-plated snub-nose 38. I calmly said Jane what are you doing? You don't want to do this. Jane responded so you don't love me. I turned to move out the front door when I heard a loud pop and felt a burning sensation on my right upper arm, then I heard another pop. I ran out the front door and right into my neighbor across the hall. He was just arriving home, and just happened to be a police officer. He already had his gun out saying freeze. I moved slowly to the side back against the wall so that he wouldn't shoot me. I said she's trying to kill me. He moved slowly into the loft, and I heard him say ma'am put the gun down, turn around and put your hands behind your back and don't move. By that time another officer had arrived who was with my neighbor. A few minutes later the paramedics arrived. Jane was taken into custody without incident. I was taken to the hospital. Turned out my wound was just a graze. The second shot had missed me altogether, but where the bullet landed, investigators determined that Jane was aiming for my head but missed. Jane was charged with attempted murder and received 10 years.